my best stories come from New Orleans. I was going to write a haiku. It was going to be inappropriate. But I feel like this story will probably suffice. So last time I told a story about a boot. How many of you were there for the story about a boot? Awesome. No, really, it's terrible. So this evening I would like to get a little more comfortable. I'm going to tell you a story about a fellow named Monaco. Once upon a time, when I lived in New Orleans, I got drunk a lot. I mean, like every day of the week. Woke up, took 2 Vicodins, 2 lattes, wash, rinse, repeat. So one evening, pissed off at my then boyfriend, as was my usual, I stumbled down to a club after work. If any of you have been to New Orleans, you know the Dungeon. It is one of the seedier little bars, and it caters towards people who want to. So, I stumble in wearing a corset and a beautiful red skirt, I think. I was very drunk. So, I'm at the bar, and my particular poison for the evening was blueberry stoli and Sprite, which, by the way, is the worst hangover concoction you can come up with.
Well, thanks for the late notice, Laura.
Jesus, sorry. Anyway, so for future reference, blueberry stoli and Sprite, the worst. So I'm sitting at the bar, being so depressing, when a man with long black curly hair, and I mean like long black curly hair, comes up to me, and he's wearing a white button-down with black dragon, and linen pants, and fancy leather shoes, and he says, "Do I know you from somewhere?" To which I reply,
In your mouth, you reply.
well, yes. To which I reply, no, I don't think you're there. He's like, no, seriously, I feel like I'm being punked right now. And I'm like, no, seriously, you don't know me. He's like, well, okay, cool, so we're like, are you from around here? And I'm like, yeah. Okay, so we started drinking together. So, after a while, he realized I was tanked. Now, he was very, very obviously trying to pick me up, but at some point, he decided he was going to sober me up, which instilled a little bit of trust in me. Who tries to pick you up and then feeds you about a gallon of water? No one, right? So I'm starting to sober up, and he says, hey, let's get on the back of my moped and drive around New Orleans. And I was like, yeah, I'm pissed off at my boyfriend right now, and I don't really care if I live or die, so fuck it, let's go. So we got on the back of this moped, and we drove around the piazza, and in places where we probably should not have been, for probably about a half an hour, and then we came back to the bar, and we parted ways. And then I went out again, going, maybe I'll remember Monaco. So I went out again. This time he was dressed in a white fleece vest, windbreaker pants, a ray gun, and a guitar. This is pretty standard. And then we did it all over again. The next time, he was dressed in Rasta garb, and we went to a Rasta bar. At which point, we'd been pretty close, so I was like, hey, you know what, there's this camera that monitors the parking lot, and the bartender can see it, so I want you to go outside and hump your scooter. So we did. The bartender just about lost. After that, we got on the back of the moped and drove to the seediest little bar in the Nerdy Bywater. Has anyone been to the Nerdy Bywater? Good. No one goes to Nerdy Bywater. Apparently, though, we did. We drove to the seedy little bar, and the minute we walked in, it was like something out of a movie. The bartender behind the bar, obviously, had a shirt that I couldn't tell if it was originally fishnet or if she just worn it so long that it was full of holes and fringe. There was a seedy old man who looked like he could have been Marlon Brando in a former life. And the minute that Monaco walked in, everyone was like, oh my God, Monaco, we missed you so much, man. Play something for us, man. Play something. So we this old honky-tonk piano, he starts busting out a tune, and this old Marlon Brando guy gets up and starts scat singing. And if you've never been to New Orleans, this is fucking New Orleans! Everything in this room is exactly what you want New Orleans to be. It was like it was royalty. Sort of. So we started hanging out some more, and I would go over to his house, and one day he told me, kind of creepily, that he wanted me to run away with him to Thailand. And I couldn't leave because, you dumb bitch, don't you know I love you? Then he proceeded to tell me that it wouldn't work for anyone else. At that point, I was thoroughly creeped out and told him that he could either drive me home, which he was not willing to do with that situation going on, or he could pay for my cab fare home. Or, please don't hate me, I was a statist at the time, I told him I would call the cops. He paid for my cab fare home. Well, I moved back to Wisconsin. Months later, I get a phone call out of the blue. Hello? Yeah. So, I did a lot of drugs when you knew me. I'm trying to kind of turn over a new leaf, and I just wanted to apologize. I'm like, oh, cool. I hope you're getting your life together and you're, doing something with yourself and, not that you weren't before, but that you're more productive and fulfilled. So when I decided to move back to New Orleans, I was like, oh, Monaco's actually cool now. I can go hang out with him. So I called him right as I moved back into town, and I said, hey, let's go hang out. And he's like, yeah, I'm under house arrest. I'm like, what the fuck did you do? He tells me, so, you have to just come over. I can't tell you over the phone. You have to come over and see this for yourself. And can you, bring a bottle of Jack? So, Tim and I, my boyfriend at the time, went over to Monaco's house where we were greeted with an open hand. Give me the fucking Jack. So, we did. He had no eyebrows, which isn't really strange to me, but they've been singed off. He had a cast on one leg and an ankle bracelet on the other, and crutches, because he had apparently crashed his scooter into an SUV, or through it. So we just kind of hung out with him, and he told me that he was on house arrest because of some weird domestic dispute with a girl that he'd been, trying to date. She just wasn't reciprocating the way that she should have. So little did I know that he was hopped up on all kinds of barbs and painkillers and what have you. At one point, he pours himself a stemless martini glass full of Jack and starts singing some MSI tune and just tosses the martini glass over his head, where it shatters in the kitchen into a million pieces. And I'm like, you have a dog, you want to get glass? So he's tripping balls in the other room. We're sweeping up the kitchen, and suddenly he turns to us to ask if he can get us to pick up his friend Allison from the airport. To which we're like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's go. So we pick up Allison, and she's like, I'm terrified of this man, but I love him so much. I've been on a rooftop with him, and I literally thought I was gonna die, but he was just like, he's so talented and so amazing. And I'm like, okay. So we get back to the house, and they kind of talk for a little while, and he's like, oh baby, everything still works. And I'm like, fucking liar. So anyway, he tries to get us to go out to the swamps to shoot some laptops with a gun, and it'll be this great avant-garde video, and everybody will love him. I'm like, no, I think you're off your rocker, and I'm never going to speak to you again. So as we're going out the door, Allison comes to me, and she's like, can I keep your Jack? And I just fucking handed it to her, because I'm like, you're gonna need it. I never spoke to Monaco again. You know that quote by Bill Nye, where he says, everyone you will ever meet knows something that you don't. Sometimes it doesn't matter.